The earthquake struck the farming valley just before sunrise. The ground shook with a deep roar, and the small houses trembled like leaves in a storm. Chickens screamed, dogs barked, and people rushed outside in fear. After a few long moments, the shaking stopped, leaving behind an uneasy silence. Dust floated in the air, and the land felt changed, as if it had taken a deep breath and was now holding it. Amir was already awake when the earthquake came. He was a simple farmer who lived alone on the edge of the village. His life followed the rhythm of the land. He woke early, worked until sunset, and rested when the stars came out. He had lived on this land since childhood and believed he knew it better than anyone else. That morning, he felt something was different even before he stepped outside. After making sure his house was safe, Amir walked toward his fields. The soil was cracked in many places, and the crops leaned at strange angles. Wooden fence posts had fallen, and irrigation channels were broken. Amir moved slowly, checking each area with care. He felt worried but also calm, knowing that land could heal with time and effort. When he reached the far end of his property near an old fig tree, he stopped. The ground there looked wrong. A long opening had formed in the earth, wider than a man's shoulders and stretching farther than Amir could see at first glance. The edges of the opening were sharp, and loose stones kept falling inside. A cold wind flowed upward from the darkness below, brushing against Amir's face. Amir stood still, his heart beating faster. He had never seen anything like this before. This land had been solid for generations. He knelt carefully and looked down into the opening. It was not just a crack. It looked like the entrance to a tunnel. The sides were smooth in some places, as if shaped by hands, not nature. He picked up a small stone and dropped it inside. The sound echoed for a long time before fading away. That told him the space below was deep. Amir felt a mix of fear and curiosity. Part of him wanted to step back and call for help. Another part wanted to know what was hidden beneath his land. Amir returned to the village and told a few neighbors what he had found. Most of them laughed at first, thinking it was just a crack caused by the earthquake. But when they saw Amir's serious face, a few agreed to come and look. By mid-morning, a small group stood around the opening, whispering and pointing. One of the men said it might be an old water passage. Another thought it could be a natural cave. An older villager stayed quiet, staring into the darkness with narrow eyes. He said nothing, but his expression showed concern. Finally, everyone agreed that Amir should report it to the local authorities. Before anyone arrived, Amir decided to look closer. He tied a rope around his waist and asked a neighbor to hold the other end. With slow and careful steps, he climbed down into the opening. The air grew colder as he descended. The light from above faded, and shadows stretched along the walls. After climbing down a short distance, Amir's feet touched solid ground. He stood inside a narrow tunnel. The walls were made of stone, fitted together carefully. This was no natural formation. Someone had built this long ago. Amir ran his hand along the wall and felt marks that looked like tool cuts. The tunnel stretched in two directions. Amir chose one side and walked slowly, using a small flashlight from his pocket. The beam of light revealed more stone walls and a flat floor covered in dust. The tunnel was tall enough for him to stand straight. That alone surprised him. This had been made by skilled workers. As he moved forward, Amir noticed symbols carved into the walls. They were old and worn but still visible. He did not recognize the shapes, but they looked important. Some symbols repeated again and again, as if marking a path or telling a story. After walking for several minutes, Amir reached a wider space. It was a large underground chamber. The ceiling arched high above him, and thick stone pillars supported it. The room was silent, and the air felt heavy. Amir's light revealed wooden crates stacked against one wall, some broken, some still sealed. Amir approached one of the crates and opened it carefully. Inside were objects wrapped in cloth. He unwrapped one and froze. It was an old metal box, decorated with patterns and symbols similar to those on the walls. The metal was dark but well preserved. His hands trembled as he opened the box. Inside were papers and objects that looked very old. The papers were written in a language Amir could not read, but they were neatly stored and protected. He realized that this place was not just old. It was important. Amir stepped back, feeling overwhelmed. He understood that whatever this was, it was bigger than him. He carefully closed the box and the crate. Then he returned through the tunnel, climbing back up into the daylight. His neighbor pulled him out, worry clear on his face. Amir told everyone what he had seen. The mood changed instantly. The villagers no longer joked or laughed. They understood that something serious lay beneath Amir's land. Someone called the local office, and soon officials were on their way. By the afternoon, the area around the tunnel was closed off. Guards stood watch, and officials asked Amir many questions. He answered honestly, explaining everything he had seen. Experts arrived with equipment, cameras, and measuring tools. They descended into the tunnel with care, and returned with looks of shock. One of the officials told Amir that this discovery could change everything. The tunnel was not listed in any records. It could be hundreds of years old. It might be connected to events long forgotten. News began to spread quickly beyond the village. By evening, reporters arrived. Cameras pointed toward the field where Amir stood quietly, feeling unsure of what to say. He was just a farmer who loved his land. He never imagined that something hidden beneath his feet would draw so much attention. As night fell, lights illuminated the field. Experts continued their work, and guards kept watch. Amir sat near his house, staring at the stars. His mind replayed the images of the tunnel, the symbols, and the hidden chamber. He felt proud, scared, and confused all at once. Deep underground, the tunnel remained silent, holding its secrets. Amir did not yet know that this discovery would soon shock not just his village, but the entire nation. The next morning, Amir woke up before sunrise, but this time his land did not feel peaceful. Bright lights were still placed around the field, and guards stood near the tunnel entrance. Vehicles were parked along the dirt road, and strangers walked around with serious faces. Amir stepped outside his house and felt like his simple life had changed overnight. Officials returned early with more experts. They brought maps, scanning tools, and protective gear. Amir was asked to stay nearby but not enter the area. He agreed, though it was hard for him to watch others move freely on land he had worked for decades. Still, he understood that this discovery was no longer just his. Inside the tunnel, the experts worked carefully. They measured the walls, studied the stonework, and photographed every symbol. Some experts whispered in excitement, while others looked worried. One of them explained that the tunnel was built with great skill and planning. It was not made in a hurry. It had a clear purpose. By midday, the experts reached the underground chamber again. This time, they opened more crates. Inside were metal tools, sealed jars, and bundles of documents. Everything was carefully arranged, as if someone wanted to protect these items for the future. Dust covered the floor, showing that no one had entered this place for a very long time. One expert noticed a large stone door at the far end of the chamber. It was partly hidden behind fallen debris. When they cleared the area, they saw carvings covering the door from top to bottom. The symbols were more detailed than the others. They looked like warnings or instructions. After several hours of careful work, the experts managed to open the stone door. Behind it was another room, even larger than the first. When their lights moved across the space, everyone fell silent. The room was filled with shelves made of stone, each holding boxes and scrolls. The experts realized they were standing inside some kind of hidden archive. The items were stored with care, protected from water and damage. This place was not meant to be found easily. It was meant to survive time. News spread fast. By afternoon, national media channels were reporting live from Amir's field. People across the country watched as reporters spoke about the hidden tunnel and the underground rooms. Many asked how such a place could exist without anyone knowing. Amir was asked to speak to reporters again. He stood in front of cameras, feeling nervous. He explained that he was just a farmer and had no idea what lay beneath his land. He spoke simply, saying that the earthquake revealed something that was always there. His honesty touched many people watching. Experts worked late into the evening, carefully bringing some items to the surface for study. The documents were sealed in protective cases. The metal objects were cleaned gently. Early examination suggested that the items came from a time not fully recorded in modern history. One expert shared that the symbols matched no known writing exactly. They seemed to be a mix of styles from different eras. This raised more questions. Why would someone combine different systems? Who built this place and why was it hidden? As night fell, Amir sat with a few officials near his house. They explained that his land was now under temporary protection. He would be compensated for any loss. Amir nodded, though money was not his concern. He wanted to understand what this place was and how it came to be under his feet. The next day, more discoveries were made. One of the documents, after careful study, appeared to be a record of events. Though the language was unfamiliar, the structure suggested storytelling or reporting. Experts believed it might describe important moments meant to be preserved secretly. Another crate held maps. These maps showed land shapes similar to the region, but with differences. Some areas were marked clearly, while others were crossed out. Lines connected places in ways that did not match modern roads. This suggested a hidden network or plan. People across the nation began to talk about the discovery. Some believed it was proof of a lost group with advanced knowledge. Others thought it was a secret project hidden long ago. Social discussions were filled with theories and questions. Amir listened to all this with mixed feelings. He never wanted attention. Yet he felt a strange responsibility. This discovery happened on his land for a reason, or at least that was how it felt to him. He began to think about his ancestors and whether they knew something he did not. One evening, an older expert sat with Amir and spoke quietly. He said that places like this were often built during times of great change. When people feared losing knowledge, they hid it. They hoped someone honest would find it when the time was right. Those words stayed with Amir. He remembered how carefully everything was stored underground. Nothing was rushed or careless. Whoever built it believed in the future. More rooms were discovered beyond the archive. Some held tools for measuring stars. Others contained stone tables marked with patterns that matched the sky. Experts suggested that this group studied the world and the heavens together. This shocked many people. It meant that the builders had knowledge far beyond farming or survival. They were thinkers, planners, and observers. They chose secrecy over power. By the end of the week, the discovery was called one of the most important finds in the nation's history. Schools discussed it. Leaders spoke about it. Plans were made to protect and study the site for years. Amir's quiet farm was now known everywhere. Visitors came from far away, hoping to see the tunnel entrance. Security increased, and the area became heavily guarded. Amir's life changed in ways he never expected. Yet at night, when things grew quiet, Amir still walked near the fig tree. He looked at the ground and felt connected to something larger than himself. He felt honored but also humbled. Deep underground, experts continued to uncover more rooms and records. Each discovery raised new questions and revealed deeper meaning. What started as an earthquake crack had become a doorway to the past. And as the nation watched closely, everyone knew that the most surprising truth might still be hidden, waiting to be revealed. Weeks passed, and the work under Amir's land continued without pause. What began as a single tunnel had now become a wide underground complex. Each day brought new discoveries, and each discovery deepened the mystery. Experts worked carefully, knowing that every stone and every object mattered. Amir watched from a distance, still trying to understand how his quiet life had changed so completely. One morning, the experts called Amir to the site. They wanted him to see something important. He followed them down into the tunnel, wearing protective gear. The underground air felt familiar now, but the feeling of wonder had not faded. They led him to a newly opened chamber deeper than the others. Inside this chamber stood a large stone wall covered with symbols and images. Unlike the earlier markings, these were clearer and more detailed. The experts explained that this wall appeared to tell a story. The images showed people working together, building structures, studying the sky, and protecting books and tools. As Amir looked closely, he noticed something that made his heart beat faster. One image showed fields and trees that looked very similar to his land. The shape of the hills matched the valley outside. It seemed that the builders of this place knew this land well. The experts believed that this underground site was created by a group who lived on this land long ago. They were not rulers or warriors. They were thinkers and planners who wanted to protect knowledge during a time of danger. Instead of leaving records above ground, they chose to hide everything beneath the earth. Over the next few days, a major breakthrough happened. One of the documents was partially translated. It spoke of a time when learning was threatened and people feared that knowledge would be lost forever. The writers believed that the world would one day be ready again. Until then, the truth would sleep underground. This discovery changed the story completely. The tunnel was not just a hidden place. It was a message sent through time. The builders trusted the future to find it. When this news was shared, the nation reacted strongly. People felt pride and amazement. Schools added lessons about the discovery. Museums prepared exhibits. Leaders spoke about the importance of protecting knowledge and history. Amir was invited to the capital to speak at a public event. He had never traveled far from his village, and the journey felt unreal. Standing before a large audience, he spoke simply, just as he always did. He said that the land gives back when treated with respect. He said that history lives beneath our feet, waiting patiently. His words touched many people. Amir became a symbol of honesty and humility. Yet he never saw himself as special. He often said that anyone could have found the tunnel. He just happened to be the one walking that field that morning. Back at the site, experts uncovered the final major chamber. This room held a large stone table in the center. On it lay a sealed container. The symbols around it suggested importance and care. When the container was opened, everyone stood in silence. Inside were writings that explained the purpose of the entire underground place. The builders believed that true progress came from sharing knowledge, not controlling it. They hid their work not to gain power, but to protect truth until people were ready to listen again. This message spread quickly across the nation and beyond. Other countries sent scholars to study the site. Global discussions began about preserving learning and protecting history. What started as a local discovery now carried worldwide meaning. The government decided to protect Amir's land permanently. A research center was planned, designed to blend with the natural surroundings. Amir was offered many rewards, but he accepted only what he needed. He asked that his village receive support and that the land remain respected. Life slowly began to feel calm again. The crowds grew smaller, and the cameras moved away. Amir returned to his daily work, tending to his fields as he always had. Yet he knew that nothing was truly the same. Sometimes, Amir walked near the fig tree at sunset. He thought about the people who lived here long ago. They trusted the future. They trusted that someone would find their work and care for it. Amir felt honored to be part of that trust. The tunnel beneath his land no longer felt like a secret. It felt like a bridge between past and present. A reminder that knowledge can survive even the hardest times if protected with care. The earthquake had shaken the ground, but it also awakened history. From a simple crack in the earth came a discovery that shocked the nation and inspired the world. And so, beneath a quiet farm in a small valley, a powerful story found its voice again, carried forward by a farmer who never expected to change history.